Deshaun Brown. Deshaun Brown was in court for a pretrial hearing on a motion in the murder case against him. 22-year-old Deshaun Brown fatally stabbed his girlfriend Natisha Lattimore in December 2020 and tossed 3-year-old Nilo, the son she had with Tonio Hughes, into the Ohio River. The boy was alive when he was dropped into the water. The surveillance video released by Hamilton County Sheriff's Office captured the moment Hughes, who is the father of that child, charged the defense table, grabbed the defendant from behind, and repeatedly punched him in the side of the head. 2 sheriff's deputies then wrestled him to the ground. Hughes was sentenced to 7 days at the Hamilton County Justice Center. Brown was indicted on 2 counts of aggravated murder, 1 count of gross abuse of a corpse, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. If he's found guilty, Brown faces the death penalty. Dale Williams. Dale Williams was waiting on his sentence at Mahoning County courtroom, having admitted to fatally shooting Elizabeth Pledger Stewart. Williams crashed his car into Pledger Stewart's vehicle on June 15, 2017, and then shot her multiple times when she got out. Police arrived at the scene as the shooting was taking place and arrested Williams, who knew Pledger Stewart. He faces up to 23 years to life in prison. Video shows a man wearing blue jeans and a black t-shirt leap over a wooden table and lunge at convicted killer Dale Williams Sr., who was being sentenced for the June 2017 murder of Elizabeth Pledger Stewart. Just before the victim's daughter was due to make a statement, her brothers lunge at the 62-year-old killer. A video of the incident shows pandemonium breaking out in the court as the 2 sons charged across the room at Williams. A man wearing red and a man wearing black jump across the bench at the orange jumpsuit-clad murderer. A woman jumps up and down and screams as the 2 men attempt to reach their mother's killer. They're stopped from doing so by court staff, who managed to restrain the sons just before they reached Williams. After the pair appeared to land a couple blows on the convict, the man in red yells out when a police taser hits him. Following the arrest, the public gallery was cleared by the security officers. The brothers were arrested and will serve 30 days in jail for contempt of court. Although Williams' sentence was delayed, he is facing 23 years to life in prison. Michael Madison. During a sentencing hearing for East Cleveland serial killer Michael Madison, Van Terry took the stand to speak to the man who tortured and murdered his 18-year-old daughter, Sherelda Terry. Madison had been taunting and smiling at the family members of the woman he killed. Madison, who has openly admitted he admires serial killer Anthony Sewell, murdered Terry's daughter, as well as Angela Deskins and Shatisha Sheely. Their bodies were found wrapped in garbage bags in close proximity to Madison's Cleveland home in July 2013. Van Terry stepped to the podium and tried to contain the emotions simmering inside him. Terry then paused and turned to look behind him at Madison, who was sitting behind the defense table. When Terry notices Madison is smirking at him, he immediately lunges across the courtroom to attack the convict. Courtroom deputies wrestled Terry as Madison and others scrambled to get out of the way. The courtroom momentarily bursts into chaos. Law enforcement officers dragged Terry from the courtroom. Madison didn't appear to be injured. Ohio judge sentenced Madison to the death penalty. Jason Howard. This is Jason Howard. He was facing trial for killing his ex-girlfriend and her 3 children. While he stood handcuffed in a courtroom, one man reached over the banister that separates attorneys from the public to beat the defendant, and another man jumped the banister and punched Howard after court officers pulled off the first attacker. Howard, 24, tried to dodge the punches. He is shown on the video sitting speechless after both attackers were restrained. Hanzu is a cousin, and West is a brother of Jamelia West, 27, who was slain in Columbus in June with her daughter. Larry Nassar. This is Larry Nassar. He was an ex-gymnastics student who was facing a trial for abusing several women. Randall Margraves, whose 3 daughters were abused by disgraced U.S. gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. 2 of the Margraves daughters, Madison and Lauren, had just testified about their abuse at the hands of the doctor. Randall Margraves said he was a distraught father and cursed at Nassar, but Judge Janice Cunningham told him that was not allowed in court. He then asked the judge for personal time alone with the demon. The judge declined his request, but after hearing it, Margraves launched into a sprint toward Nassar. Court security staff tried to shield Larry Nassar. Margraves was tackled by 3 guards. Security rushed to stop him and grabbed him from behind before he was able to reach Nassar. Margraves later came back to the courtroom to apologize for his actions and was told he would not face charges. Nassar was sentenced up to 175 years in prison a week ago after testimony from nearly 160 of his victims. Aubrey Rhymes. Judge Aubrey Rhymes was holding Pike County Justice Court when the incident occurred. Sydney Newsom, 27, was in court charged with domestic violence. When Judge Aubrey Rhymes ordered Newsom to be removed from the courtroom, he became irate and unruly. Surveillance video shows Newsom struggling with the bailiff, and then he threw a stack of papers at the judge and chaos ensued. As Newsom tried grabbing more objects in the courtroom, a bailiff struggled to restrain the angry defendant. Judge Rhymes got up from his seat after Newsom tried throwing a phone at him. At that point, Judge Rhymes approached the defendant and single-handedly pinned him onto the desk and held him there until backup arrived. Newsom received an additional charge of contempt of court and served 2 days in jail. Vanessa. This is Jessica Boomershine. She was sentenced to 25 to 30.5 years in prison in connection to the burglary, robbery, and kidnapping of an 85-year-old man who was forced into his trunk and left at a waste facility. Jessica Boomershine, 43, was sentenced Friday morning in Montgomery County Common Pleas Court in Dayton, Ohio. While Boomershine was in a holding area in the jail, she attempted an escape through the ceiling. She was pulled from the ceiling and fell. Jessica Boomershine didn't make it far, though. Surveillance video shows her trying to climb a pipe against the wall of a holding room at the Montgomery County Jail. She reaches the ceiling but then crashes through the tiles and is left suspended, her pants falling down as deputies grab her just before she falls into a trash can. Jennifer Edwards. Judge Jennifer Edwards was hearing a domestic violence complaint against Melissa Hardwick filed by her estranged husband. But the hearing took an unexpected turn when Melissa Hardwick was handed a 10-day sentence, prompting her to lunge across the bench and security to rush in. Surveillance video of the incident shows Hardwick's husband explaining why he filed the order. Hardwick then interrupts and refuses to stop talking after the judge warns her she would be held in contempt for disobeying her order to do so. But that didn't seem to make a blind bit of difference to angry Melissa, who just carried on chit-chatting. Making good on her threat, the judge promptly handed her a 10-day sentence. Suddenly, Melissa threw herself at the judge, lunging in, fist first. Hardwick was taken down by 3 security officers. Edwards was not hurt in the incident. Hardwick suffered facial scratches. Hardwick was then sentenced to 120 days in jail for contempt of court for the incident. And now she faces separate charges of third-degree terroristic threatening, intimidating a participant in the legal process, and resisting arrest. Her bond is set at $25,000. Judge Edwards ruled after the incident that the domestic violence order filed by Hardwick's husband would remain. Jason Howard. This is Jason Howard. He was facing trial for killing his ex-girlfriend and her 3 children. While he stood handcuffed in a courtroom, one man reached over the banister that separates attorneys from the public to beat the defendant, and another man jumped the banister and punched Howard after court officers pulled off the first attacker. Howard, 24, tried to dodge the punches. He is shown on the video sitting speechless after both attackers were restrained. Hanzu is a cousin, and West is a brother of Jamelia West, 27, who was slain in Columbus in June with her daughter. That was it for today's video. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to our channel and hit the like button.